It's coming to you now, Giselle. Elizabeth is sending you a PDF.
Okay,
She's sending
thank
it to
you.
all of the board. Yep.
Oh, thank you, Bianca.
You're welcome. Let me know, does it open? Because I try to save it from a Chrome file.
No.
Okay, yeah, she still needs to send you a PDF.
Okay.
I just sent it.
Who is that, Angelika?
No, Elizabeth.
Oh, all right, thanks, Elizabeth.
I'm here though, yeah.
All right, I got it. All right. Got it. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. With a roll call.
Yes, a roll call. Mrs. Giselle Johnson Banks,
Present.
Miss Andronika Morris,
Present.
Mr. Edgar Chase IV.
Present.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. Are there any public comments? Are we live?
Yes, no public comments at this time.
Thank you. All right, moving right along. Old business? None?
No old business to discuss.
All right. New business? Approval of the May 19, 2020 minutes. If everyone has had a chance to review them, I will accept a motion to accept the minutes. No? Okay, we need more time.
I think I'm good. You good, Ms. Morris?
Yep, I'm good.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you both. Minutes are approved. Our next item is the Forest Manor project. Status update.
Yes, board. So, our committee members, the last time we spoke in May, we talked about the CEA between the city and LHC. And of course, we know now that the CEA has been approved, which gives us the ability to move forward with our programming. So we began seeing projects at the underwriting committee 2 weeks ago. We had a chance to see about to see 4 projects, and we have additional projects in the pipeline. I know Ms. Brown is going to touch on it in her report. So I won't talk too much about the process and the full pipeline, but one of the projects that we had a chance to review is titled the Lake Forest Manor Project. It's a redevelopment of a blighted building in New Orleans East on Lake Forest and Reed Boulevard. So we received a pre-application for this project. It has most of its its approvals and financing in place. The developer feels a pilot would be beneficial to the project. The biggest issue is that this project is on the fast track. So they'd like to close by August. And just in short, it would be beneficial to the paperwork or the legal documents, and Mrs. Brown Russell can speak more to everything that will be required us on the legal side, but the developer would like to close by August. So if we want to participate in the project, then we would need to provide an approval by then and be able to close, which means the title would have to transfer to Finance New Orleans. So we still are in the process of underwriting this project. So we're bringing it to you a little bit earlier than we normally would, simply because we're trying to accelerate a request for a developer. And I think it would be a good project. It's 100% senior housing. Like I say, the redevelopment of a blighted property in New Orleans East. So I do think it would be a good starter project for us. It seems to have the requisite pieces in place. The developer is experienced. Michael Toubre is the lead developer on the project. So he has some experience developing these types of projects in the area. So we still have to check some boxes. Like I said, the full application still has to be reviewed, and the underwriting committee has to deliberate it on it again before it comes to you. But once it passes that process, then we can come back to you and ask for a formal approval. And we'd like to begin that approval process in July. So we'll have more information, such as the cost benefit analysis and more detail about the underwriting of the project by that time.
Okay.
So we're not asking for any kind of approval today. It's just an introduction. But like I said, it is a bit of an early introduction. Normally, it would go through probably about 2 months of back and forth with the staff and the underwriting committee, because they have to submit a pre-application, then come to the committee. And once they get past the pre-application phase, there's a full application. And so that full application has to come back before the committee one more time for approval. And we send it to you for approval. So it does go through a few steps, and we aren't necessarily skipping those steps. It's just that we're notifying you earlier than we normally would.
Okay, so you said we're not skipping the steps. So do we need to meet a couple times in July?
I think we could talk about that as a staff. Jay could give us some input on that right now, but depending on how the timeline works out, which we don't have an official timeline for this particular project just yet, because we're getting information by the moment. So we just received some data from the developer yesterday. So once the team has a chance to review it, it goes through Byron's team on the finance side. Bianca's team looks at it a couple of times. And then once we're able to generate enough information, then we send it to the underwriting committee. So we just need to time that out. And I think the idea is that we have preliminary and final approval for everything that we do. So first step would still be a preliminary approval.
Okay.
Maybe followed by final approval 30 days after.
So you're looking at final approval in August?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, I guess if the committee can get all the documents by the July meeting, we'll have a chance to review, but I don't know if we'll have a chance to review before the meeting, so that we could ask any questions or provide any feedback before the meeting. Not before the meeting, but at the meeting on the 16th.
We would do it we would discuss it at the program committee level, and you would provide your recommendation to the full board. So
at the July meeting.
At the July meeting.
Okay.
So you would still have an opportunity to discuss it on both levels.
Okay.
So it can't get preliminary approval until the programs committee recommends it to the full board.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, good. I mean, got a project quickly, so that's great. I'm interested to hear more. I know we're property you're talking about, because I grew up in the East, and so I'm familiar with Lake Forest Manor, so I'm really happy to hear that we're interested in the project. It's 100% senior housing, so that's great. Just looking forward to hear more about it. Sorry, Jade, you had something?
Yeah, I was just gonna chime in and piggyback on what Damon said and actually address one of the things that you brought up, Madam Chair, which is, yeah, I think
Uh-oh, Jade, you're breaking up. Jade. Jade, you're breaking up.
Can't hear us.
No. She's gonna have to repeat everything.
Yeah. I guess that's
I'm
the,
gonna text her right now.
okay, thank you, Deidre.
Thank you.
Still going too.
Still going, oh my goodness. She's not gonna remember.
Okay, there you go. She hung up.
Okay. While we're waiting on Jade, was there any other thoughts from the committee members, staff, anything? No? Y'all are mighty quiet. Is everybody still on there? Can everybody say aye?
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
sorry. I'm trying to go back. I'm on my iPad, so I'm going back and forth between the document and
Okay.
my controls. Sorry.
Okay. That's all right. Making sure we didn't lose anybody.
Okay, so just to reiterate one more time, so we're all clear, you know, this project is it's the first one to ask us for a final approval. And there are others that will follow right behind it, but this just happens to be the one that needs the quickest approval. So we're building this process as we go, but again, we're not attempting to circumvent any steps that we need to take, particularly any of the legal actions. It's just an early introduction. So we'll provide.
Hey, Damon.
Hey, there you go,
I'm
Jay.
sorry. Y'all, I was talking for like 3 minutes straight and didn't realize I was on mute. So I apologize, but I was just, and then I think you guys cut off a little bit, so I may have missed a couple of seconds. My phone delayed, but I was going to actually piggyback on what's something that Damon said and also address Giselle's kind of process question. So the first is, I think it would be an efficient use of the program committee's time to have
That's right.
An executive summary type document developed. So when the underwriting committee kind of reviews it, they'll just kind of be a one-pager for you all to. The documents can get very voluminous in these transactions. So to the extent that you have multiple deals in one meeting, that that executive summary type document can move the process along faster. So I would make that recommendation. And the second is, right now, as Damon pointed out, we're very early on in this work, and so as soon as the city completes its inclusionary zoning process, whereby they identify the actual zones. Once they finalize that process, some of these projects, to the extent that they're only seeking a pilot and not necessarily bond financing, some of these projects will have a more abbreviated process where it'll only come to you all possibly once. And so that'll save the committee some time. But until then, we're gonna have to kind of go through this more elongated process. But I just wanted to add those two things before y'all moved on.
Thank you, Jade. Thank you. I know we're early on, and I don't know if you have this information, or do you have any idea what level of investment or role will be playing, or you would like to play?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear. So this particular project is seeking only a pilot from us.
Okay.
And that's going to be a theme for the remainder of this year because, as we've all been saying, we're still building out the infrastructure. So just frankly, it's just going to be simpler for some developers to continue to do their bonds with LAC until we have the platform a little more established. But we can do pilots because we don't have to take out debt for pilots. The approval process is more streamlined, and that CEA is what empowered us to do the pilots. So the CEA outlines the frameworks for us to operate under. And that's why we're able to have this abbreviated approval process for pilots. So this first project, the Lake Forest Manor project, is only seeking a pilot from us. And I believe the next few after, which we'll talk about in subsequent months, I believe they're going to be pilot requests as well. So we'll be able to get our feet wet with pilots and then have some other bond finance projects coming down the line.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's great. Yeah, the staff has been working like crazy to, organize the platform and just go back and forth with developers. So it's definitely been, an ongoing process, but we've been getting a lot of support from a variety of stakeholders. So I think this is a great start for us. And, we're going to be able to really make a quick impact. We'll be able to start offering a package of products that just hasn't existed in New Orleans before, or at least in some time. So I expect the next few board meetings to be pretty active.
All right. Well, great job, y'all.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
All right. Any other feedback from the committee before we move on? All right. Okay. We'll go to the program update. Single family.
Yeah. So good afternoon, committee members. I'll start off with the single family program update. As it relates to the Green Mortgage Program, we've recently talked with Energy New Orleans. They're going to be one of our main vendors in this. Recently, the report that's kind of required, the savings estimation report, this is the report that's required when basically an assessor goes out to the home to kind of do the inspection. And once that report is required, it gives you an amount telling you how much savings, basically once you make these repairs, how much savings will come out of the repairs. And that report is kind of given to the lender. Well, in this case, Energy needs to make some modifications to their system to add in the requirements by HUD. So we're working with them right now to get that done. They said give them 2 weeks. They're working to trying to get everybody back into the office. Once that's done, they're going to work to make those modifications to that report. HUD has some set guidelines that needs to be mandated in that report that it currently just doesn't exist now. However, we've met with their team on last week, and they're going to make those modifications. Once they make those modifications, we should be ready to move forward with everything as it relates to the Green Mortgage Program. They're one of our main vendors, so we actually need them on board before we, pull the trigger on anything to continue moving forward. Right now, I think we're looking at a July release date for the program overall, single family Green Mortgage Program. So early on July, we're gonna do the release for the single family Green Mortgage Program. That's currently where we're at with single family. As it relates to pathways, really no update in that area. We still have those properties remaining, those 7 properties remaining. We still have that one listing agreement currently expired. We're gonna get that property reissued, put that back on the market. That's the Dorchester property. In addition to that, we haven't had much activity with that pathway portfolio property as of now. Really, the focus has kind of been single family, multifamily, and then by fourth quarter, we'll be ready to dive back into pathways and relaunch the housing innovation program, which we've kind of been talking to you all about. And going into the community support fund, updating that area, we're still working with multiple landlords to kind of get that information that's needed. Once that information is obtained, we'll kind of move forward with payments But as you can see, we've kind of added a little pipeline in, talks to you about applications requested, 314. And when I mean applications requested, these are people who've actually called us, requests that we send them an application. We've sent out an application. Once we've sent out that application, maybe 83 out of that 314 has never even activated their account to complete the application. As of June 12, we had 79 completed applications out of 314 requested. So, you know, we spend a lot of time on the phone talking about the program to individuals, but when it comes to doing the process, you know, it's kind of a different story.
Why
So
do you
we've
think
been
that
doing
is?
some, I think most people just don't have the necessary technology skill base to kind of get it done. You know, when we looked at TCA process, they actually set an appointment, have them come in, get the paperwork, or they'll mail it out to them, have them mail it back, which is a more longer process. We kind of streamline our process, and our people just don't have the technology, or once they see the requirements, the documentation that's necessary to move forward, they kind of pull back. However, you do have some that, you know, are on it. They get it in like within 1 to 2 days. So like I said, you know, I think it's just the upgraded technology, which we've kind of put in place, you know, to reduce the risk of the spread of the virus. And, you know, so we don't have any touching or any meeting in person with them. So the whole process is done online. And, you know, however, we have done some follow-ups, and, you know, some people may get to it a week later. You know, they may call and request 1 week, then the next week they may actually begin the application process. You know, and I think when it's getting close to rent, you know, they all start jumping on it. So yeah, so we, you know, continuing to work with that. So right now we've kind of awarded $1,650. $50. I know it's not a lot, but like I said, you know, we just working toward individuals, and you can see the numbers from itself as an application requested and actual applications completed. So, you know, that's a big difference.
Yeah, how long do we plan on running the program? Are we gonna leave it open until the money is, you know, significantly drawn down, or are we gonna like put a close date on it?
Originally, you know, we thought this would only be like a 2 to 3 week program.
I know.
We did not intend for this to run this long, because really the focus needs to be in other areas.
Right.
However, it's kind of running longer than we anticipated. So I guess, you know, if we don't have much activity, you know, they're going to revise the marketing strategy around it, kind of touch on some different communities. Many people were kind of saying, you know, they didn't even know it was available. We've kind of got in touch with some other agencies who's offering similar products. They're going to be sending some, you know, folks over to us who just don't qualify on their end. Agencies who kind of ran out of funding, they've been sending individuals over to us as well. And, you know, so maybe, you know, I would say we can kind of monitor it. And if it's just not working for us, you know, we can kind of redirect the funds somewhere else. But hopefully, you know, we can kind of, you know, get this money out there. That's the goal.
That's a shame. I hate to hear that, because we, you know, are trying to do good and trying to, you know, help folks, but yeah, it's not working that way.
So, yeah, so we'll continue to monitor it. Like I said, they're going to revise the marketing strategy on it. Once that's done, you know, hopefully we'll gain some additional attention to the program, and, you know, get some additional interest in it. And, you know, it'll be okay. We'll be okay.
What about some mailers? Like, have y'all sent out mailers on it? You know, it costs more to mail stuff, but
yeah, we haven't sent out mailers. I don't know. I think what we have not done is done a big broadcast on it. I think early on, you know, we kind of we did like, you know, sent it out to all our partnering agencies, but like we didn't do any TV appearances or, you know, any radio. Like none of that has been done. So that's what they're working on now. And that once that's done, I think we'll gain much attention to the program.
Okay,
So
radio works.
Yeah, we're coming out with a PSA.
Okay.
And that PSA will air on Q93, and we're gonna monitor some other stations as well. But we've already recorded it, and the script has been done. It's been recorded. So we're putting the final touches on it, and we'll release it over the next few weeks.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you all.
You're
Anything
welcome.
else?
Damon J said, can you let her back in? She got knocked
Oh, I'm
out.
sorry.
Yeah, so on to the developer program, you know, the CEA, still waiting on that to get executed. We're still working to revise the pilot policy to kind of add in that additional language for financing and just finalizing that developer final application. As the software, we did make a selection for that. We just need to get with the overall vendor and begin contract negotiations.
Okay.
And additional onto the report, going to the loan production data report, it kind of highlights the loan information, origination summary report, kind of talks about where we at, breaks it out by various zip codes, districts, dollar amount, FICO scores, and interest rate and percentages. And then on to the developer, Fano developer pipeline. This is kind of the pipeline that currently exists. However, on the page after that, the last page, we've kind of broken out projects that we've currently reviewed. So Fano developer pipeline, these 4 projects are projects that have currently been reviewed by the underwriting committee. They submitted a pre-application. We've completed the actual pre-screening with them, the committee. And right now, you know, we're going to move forward with issuing full applications for the ones that, you know, we've decided to move forward with. And then once that's received and ran through the underwriting committee, then we'll be, you know, moving forward to the programs committee. And we'll just continue with our underwriting process at that moment. So, you know, moving forward, you know, we'll be having additional information, and goal is to kind of get that out to you all at least 2 weeks in advance. You know, as soon as the underwriting committee reviews it, you know, we can just kind of get it to you all so you all can have some opportunity to review it and make sure that we're ready for, you know, approval during the committee meetings.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Bianca.
No problem. And that concludes my report. Anyone has any questions, or Dane, you have anything to say? I'm sorry. Anything additional to add?
Nothing to add on my end.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Any committee members? No? Okay. All right. Anything else? Is there, there's not a need for an executive session?
No.
Correct. Okay. If there is nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you all so
All right.
much. I'll see y'all at 4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.